sound and the video quality, which I think we have Wi-Fi on. Mm, okay, Wi-Fi is on. Okay, so we are live now. I just want to wait a little, and I want to get some uh, audio check, see how it sounds. Yeah, it sounds alright, but wanna double check with you guys how everything sounds. And once we are good with that, we can start. Just waiting for um, more subscribers to or viewers to join us on this YouTube channel. But we can start. We can start right away. To be honest, this is going to be a questions and answers. And any questions, any answers? If I have knowledge to give you the answer right away, I will. And if I don't, I will research. And if I don't find it, I will just keep it as a homework. And I want to find out what was uh, the issue. But as it is, let's start with this video. Español en inglés. Everything es muy, todo está bien, todo, de cualquier manera, todo es bienvenido. Okay, so, buenas tardes, Yomar Morales. Buenas tardes. Joshua Hernandez, turn signal won't work, but turn signal work, but don't command. Well, I mean, depending on where the turn signal is working, Joshua, depending what area of the turn signal, the front or the rear. I mean, the front and the middle are controlled by the sun cabin, and the rear is controlled by the sun chassis. So if the front is working and the rear one is not working, most likely the sun chassis has a problem, or there is a wiring that is bad from the sun chassis all the way to the tail. Or if your front one is not working, the sun cabin is not sending a signal, or there is a wiring problem. You have to manually check. You can actually manipulate the system with the DDL software. You can manipulate to turn the signals on independently, and that's how you want to find out if they're working or not. And then you can manually test the line if you are receiving power, if you are receiving feedback, or you are not receiving anything at all, or what kind of signal you're getting, or ground, or power, or whatever. That's something that you have to do manually, but this is the basics, I would say. So just remember, the front one, the middle and the front one is going to be controlled by the sun cabin, and the rear one, the tail one, is going to be controlled by the sun chassis. So depending where you have the problem, that's where you're going to focus on. Jorge Vasquez, computer is your problem. Yeah, it's possible computer's problem. Might be, thing is not, might be yes. So that's the reason why it's good to check out, to actually investigate. And if you already went through it and you have no power at the end, at the pigtail of the specific light, might be the case and the module is bad. So the sun chassis is very exposed to water all the time, and especially on the 125s, the P3s, they always have this problem. So might be the case and your sun chassis is bad, but you have to double check, because sometimes it happened in many occasions that the sun chassis is okay, we replace it, and it's not, it's the wiring. So that's the reason why it's important to check it. Okay, Joshua Hernandez said just the answer I was looking for. Thank you. All right, I'm happy that you appreciate my answer. And as I say, I mean, if you have more questions, I can answer that immediately. If I don't, as I say, I will research. En español también, si tienen alguna pregunta o algo, también pueden hacerla. Y me pueden decir cualquier, preguntar cualquier cosa y yo puedo ver qué puedo responderles. Okay, new age reject. Common problems on 2021 126. Well, those trucks were the COVID trucks. They were made during the COVID recession, I can call it. So those trucks are not the best, I would say. They're okay. They're fine, but some of them had so many recalls in many different ways. So usually, if you're buying a used 2021, in many cases, these 2021s were already recalled. They already went through the whole replacement on components that were really crappy during COVID. So I have couple clients that have 2021s, and there is two types of 2021s. There is the 2021s, then are EPA, GSG 21, and there is the 21s that are GSG 17. So there is a specific split right there, depending on the month that you bought the 2021. So the 2021 with the GSG 17 emission system, it is less complicated than the one that has the GSG 21 emission system. And you want to determine that based on the computer. Emission computer is different. For the 2020, for the GSG 21, you want to have a smaller ACM. And for the GSG 17, you want to have the regular conventional engine computer looking ACM. So, but based on what you're saying, common problems, I'm going to another whole thing, but the common problems on those, avoid, I would say to like avoid common problems, I would say avoid specific trucks. 2021s, avoid the one that has the electronic or electric assist power steering. Those are very crappy, very expensive, very hard to get them. Just don't buy those. Emission problems, of course. 700,000 miles. The one box was bad, very common on these 2021s. I mean, it's normal. It's meant to be serviced. I haven't seen any fuel problems on those. Just the conventional fuel problems, like fuel injectors going bad after many miles, fuel pumps going bad after many miles. Very common. That's normal wear and tear of these heavy duty D15s. And I think the oil pickup tubes is something very common to service on these 2021s. Oil pumps, gaskets, oil pump gaskets. Clutch goes bad as well. It's normal. It starts sleeping after 700, 800,000 miles. You need to replace it. And sometimes, even though you drive these trucks pretty normally, even though the truck doesn't have any problems, the clutch starts sleeping. And I think the reason why that happens is because the clutch is not strong enough. That's one of the things. And another thing is like the clutch doesn't have that enough. The clutch press, the clutch plate, the pressure plate doesn't have enough travel to pressurize this when this one goes lower. So it has a specific amount of pressure than this pressure plate is going to apply. And if it goes beyond the limit, it's not going to apply any pressure at all. And that's the reason why the clutch gets loose over the time. But that's a very common problem, regardless of the year of DD15, DD12, a Cascadia you have. So I would just say that on 2021s, you're gonna have common problems, just like any other year. Basic problems are going to be the same: emission problems, fuel problems, oil pressure problems, clutch problems, and stuff like that. Of course, then you are going to avoid these problems depending on the options and you equip or buy your truck with. If you will buy manual transmission, you want to avoid clutch replacements or clutch problems. If you avoid the power steering, electric power steering, you want to buy, avoid problems with that. Um, and and there's other few options, very small. Oh yeah, and if you avoid the Detroit differentials, if your truck 2020, especially 2021 to 22, 23, 24, they all come with Detroit, or most of them, they come with Detroit axles. Those are very crappy. Their brake, regardless of the ratio, you can have 217s, or you can have 332s, or whatever number your differential is, or depending on the application, that's the number of differential you're gonna have. Um, they are very crappy. They can break with no reason. And I think if you are buying a used truck, just avoid those differentials. Avoid the um, Alliance or the Detroit differentials. Just buy the regular Meritor. The Meritors are way more reliable than the Detroit. I don't know why the new Detroits are like that. In the past, Detroits were okay. Well, they still have problems, but not like these ones. Their trucks then have like um, 300,000 miles and the differential goes bad. There are trucks 500,000 miles, differential goes bad. I mean, Meritor in the case, I mean, differential goes bad because no oil, no lubrication, or maybe some kind of like a problem when the driver was shifting gears or something. But the Detroits are not very reliable, I would say. Um, but I want to move on to a different question. Let's see what else we can find out. Joshua Hernandez, engine brake not working, manual 2016 DD15 Cascadia. There is many reasons why the engine brake is not working. Um, eh, the most common reason and the most easy to repair is the clutch switch. The clutch pedal has a switch, and that one can be replaced. That one is one of the major reasons why the cruise control or the jailbreak doesn't work. Of course, and if the jailbreak doesn't work, the cruise control is not gonna work. So, and that's how you're gonna determine then that is the switch. But if that is not the case, if you have a new switch and you are okay to use the cruise control, and I'm talking about like when the truck is parked, um, you're okay to apply the cruise control and everything. That means then you have a different problem. It might be the communication problem between CPC and the switches, and also it might be then the actual engine brake solenoid inside the engine, the actual push rod. It is bad. Sometimes they don't hold the pressure that well, and that's the reason why whenever the truck is running, doesn't have enough power. So you need to investigate a little deeper to find out the problem, and that will be the only way to know. But basics freeze, right? You go to the basics and you double check if your clutch switch is not having any problem. If it is, you can just replace it and see what happens. And then you can go deeper on investigation or repairs. So that way you don't spend a lot of money at the beginning and then realizing it was just the switch. Uh, Jorge Vasquez, region issues on Cummins ISB, regeneration frequent. Okay, most, Jorge, I'll say the most common cause of regions, it doesn't matter in what engine. You can have Detroit, Cummins, Volvo, anything. But the most common reason why you have frequent regions, even though then you just did a region and then 500, 1,000 miles, you being asked to do a region again, that's most likely then the DPF is not effective anymore. It is getting crowded, it's getting bloated, it's getting like clogged pretty easy. Um, the the way to know is by doing a regen with a computer and see the parameters. You have to uh, do the regen, and the technician gotta be there with the computer to see how the numbers are. Because if the regen is being asked frequently, and the regen is not reaching the actual temperature or takes long time to reach the temperature, of course that's the reason why you're being asked for regen that often. But if the regen temperatures and everything is fine, there is nothing else, there is nothing wrong with anything else, of course then the DPF needs to be replaced. So you will have to double check that, but most of the time the DPF is the problem. Sorry, but that's something that you have to double check yourself. So hopefully you will get to the bottom of that problem, and if not, just continue on investigating. Probably you wanna get the idea on what could be causing the issue. Say new age rejects. It is from Freilander dealer with a manual transmission. Manual transmission, I'll say that's what I was saying. I mean, like, if you're buying a 2021 with manual transmission, I think it is the best choice. Automatic transmissions are good, are reliable, but they're expensive, and they're not as reliable as manual. And there is one problem with automatic transmissions. Then D-rate. When you have a D-rate problem, automatic transmission, there is not much you can do. When manual transmission, there is options. If you have a problem with your emission system, you can do this, you can do that. But with automatic transmissions, because everything is linked electronically, there is no way you to bypass one thing to another, especially if you don't have any type of computer or something that can communicate with the actual vehicle. So I would say that if you are planning to buy a 2021 manual transmission Cascadia, that's a good choice. That's definitely a good choice. I have people buying those because that's the best choice. I mean, of course, and if you are going to be putting a driver on that truck, maybe it's not going to be that um, a good choice. But if you are going to drive the truck yourself, it's going to be a good choice. So I think that would be good. So new age reject said, thank you. Section 8. I'm looking at getting another truck with Packard motor. Are going for ship. Are there certain years I should stay away from? Yes. If you're buying a Packard, I have to see based on the feedback and the experience and everything I've heard from drivers, right? I heard from drivers before. 2018, 17, 18, 19, those Packards are not really reliable. They have many problems. The older Packards, 2016s and older, are more reliable. I think it has to do because of the emissions, right? Those are the years where the emissions changed, 16 and 17. 21 is supposed not to be a little better, but still they have problems because we have a couple guys that have like 2023's Packards, and they already having injector problems with 200,000 miles. But the thing is, like, if you go older with Packard, it will be harder to buy a truck that has low mileage, right? Because if you go a 2015 Packard, you're gonna find it will be almost impossible to find a 500,000 miles or 400,000 miles Packard, because these trucks are being used, right? It is possible. It is possible to do it, but in some cases, because I have seen trucks like that, I have there was a case in one of my customers um, or was thinking of buying a truck and brought it to the shop to double check. It was a 2012 Cascadia, and it looked pretty nice, pristine. It was nice. Everything was in a good condition, but it had 200,000 miles or something. I don't remember exactly, but it had less than 300. Um, and yeah, I mean, everything looked like it was original because it looked pretty nice. So he asked to, find out if that was real. Well, it turns out then it wasn't. The truck had 800,000 miles, but for some reason, someone or they replaced the dashboard or they like altered the dashboard, the instrument cluster, and they swapped the mileage. And well, I mean, and that's the problems. I mean, when you're buying older trucks, and some people really will be kind of doing that kind of shady stuff. So just be careful if you're going to buy older Packards. Newer Packards, they were fine, but they have more problems than the older ones. Especially 2018, 19, they have the problem. Then I think I'm going to do a video about it. Post a video soon about it. They have the problem then. They want to be overheating or throwing coolant to the coolant tank. In some cases, the compressor goes bad. Air compressor goes bad, and then you have to replace the air compressor just to find out. Then that was the problem. And if it doesn't stop, you have to do the cylinder head. So it is. I don't know. For some reason, I don't know why they decided to do Packard so complicated and also very, very not very friendly. But to each their own, right? For many fleets they have so many different trucks with Packard engines, so they have the ability to work on them and make money out of them. But for a small owner operators, it's pretty hard to own one Packard. But whoever likes it is fine as long as they are conscious on what they're getting. Um, Shia Abahab, that's your name. Say which regional oil would you recommend for depending on the mileage and depending on the weather condition? Uh, okay. See, depending on the type of oil, it depends where you live, right? And also it depends on the age of the truck. But there is oils then are the combination of both. Uh, Oils like the 5W40, yeah, like 5W40, those are pretty good oils. Depending on the brand, I mean, regardless of the brand, you can buy a Chevron, you can buy Mobil, you can buy a Shell, and this could be a good option. The only problem with these oils is they're expensive. Then you have the 1030, and then you have the 1540. The 1540 is the conventional one, so that is the most diverse oil I would say you can use in many different applications. But if you are in a very cold area, like cold weather, I would say then the 1030 or 540 will be the best. But if you are in a very warm area, 1540, 540 will be okay. So everything depends, right? And the mileage as well, right? If you have 1 million miles and if you want a thicker oil, yes, of course, 1540 will be the best. 540 if you still want to keep fuel economy on your truck, and it's still gonna be good. So everything depends on the factors. So you have to select the oil for your truck depending on that. And in some cases, eh, you can use the wrong oil for the wrong application, right? Because you're using 1540 and you work in a very cold area. In some cases that can happen, but still the truck is not going to be destroyed immediately. So it will take time for something to happen. So if that's the case, if you're doing that, or you have to do something like that because you don't have other options, it's gonna be okay as long as you correct that situation as soon as possible. But yeah, there is so many things when it comes to the trucks in general. I would say then, talking about the oil quality and everything, the newer quality, I mean newer recommendations or intervals, oil intervals, service intervals, are really extended for newer trucks. So for trucks that are 2020 and newer, manufacturers are recommending uh, 50,000 miles oil change intervals. To me, that is too much. But I mean, that's what they're saying, right? Uh, of course, as the word says, recommended. It is not mandatory. It's recommended. So they are saying then you are capable to do that, but it doesn't mean then you have to follow it. So, but the thing is like if that's the problem when you buy a used truck, right? Because if the truck is coming from a big fleet, let's say a rider, right? So the truck is coming from there. These people, rider, they're going to follow manufacturer recommendations, right? And these recommendations means, oh yeah, you need 50,000 miles oil change, and before that, you don't need to do an oil change. So you bought the truck with 300,000 miles, right? Let's say. So on those 300,000 miles, that truck only had six oil change. You only six oil change. That to me, that's too much, right? Because the oil, yes, the newer oils are more capable to resist heat and friction and to absorb debris. They're better than the old ones, but that doesn't mean that they are capable to maintain the truck, the engine safe all the time. So I think 25,000 miles. I think that's okay for synthetic oils. 50, I think, is too much, but because there is always debris going inside the engine, and this debris could be dust, could be uh, a particular matter, things just being evacuated from the cylinders, and all this is going to affect the engine in the long run. So I think it's just not worth it to follow that. But the problem is when you buy the used truck, as I said before, you have to deal with that in the future because if the engine had oil change that way, then in the future you might encounter problems. Even though the truck was well maintained, doesn't mean that the truck was maintained how it's supposed to be maintained. So I don't see any water in the water separator for at least 1 month. That could be well, that could be the reason. Hmm. Um, well, I mean, okay, it's normal to don't have any water on your water separator. The only reason why you want to have water on your water separator is when there is contaminated fuel. The fuel is contaminated. Yes, you're gonna have water on your water separator, and you have to drain it. And in so many cases, the particulate waters are so small that you don't see them, or they are mixed with other type of liquids or debris, and they don't look like water. So, in the general sense, right? Um, if you don't have water on your water separator, that's a good thing. That's something good. That means then the fuel that you're getting is not contaminated, and also the tanks are well insulated. They are not constructing or building condensation inside, and the condensation, of course, is going to create water. So that is a good thing. So there's no problems with that if you are not seeing any water on your fuel water separator. And the only reason how you're gonna see a bunch of water on your water separator, as I said before, is if you have any problems with the engine releasing coolant from the coolant system, the cooling system to the fuel system, or if whenever you are pumping the fuel to the tanks, this one is already contaminated with water. And that's the only way you are going to see water on your fuel water separator. And which means and there's a problem. Talking about water separators, I'll say then this is a very good component for anyone that is buying a used truck. Uh, a water Buying a truck with a water separator is good. For DD13, DD15 engines, they already have a built-in water separator on the fuel system, the two-stage fuel filters housing or the three-stage fuel filter housing. But for Volvos, for Cummins, they don't have fuel water separators within the engine itself. They need an external water separator, and this water separator can be uh, from different in different ways. It could be a cartridge filter, it could be a spin-on filter, it could be the Packard style filter, which is a long one. There is many different type of fuel water separators. But if you wonder if you bought a truck without a water separator, you can always add the water separator to your truck, even though then this truck didn't come with this component. So if you want to add it, you are okay, you are capable to. But of course, it's going to cost a little money. It's going to be a little expensive. If you buy all these parts new, they're around like $2,000 just for the water separators, which is crazy. But if you buy them used, yeah, of course, you can get a good deal with these components. And water separator can actually prevent so many problems, like excessive debris to the fuel filters inside the engine. I mean, like all these fuel filters are going to be clogged if there is no fuel water separators. The fuel water separators as well going to help you whenever you have problems building pressure. So the fuel water separator, it is a secondary tank after the fuel tanks. And this small tank is going to have some fuel reserve. So if you have fuel problems, let's say then the truck is sucking air from somewhere, the fuel water separator is going to work as a shock to maintain a specific amount of fuel, then let it go, build it back, let it go, build it back. So it is more than just a filter. Fuel water separators are very important components to have on your heavy duty trucks. And I think they are underrated. They should be more, we can say, more important than what they feel like. Manufacturers should push them as an important thing to have, but some manufacturers don't care anyway. I mean, or a specific truck, sometimes depending on the price of the truck when you buy it new, also that has a lot to do with what it comes with, because of course the fuel water separator just itself it is around 2,000 something dollars. So and plus the whole setup and everything, the lines and everything. So if you bought a brand new truck, this truck is going to be cheaper if you are not equipped. The truck is not equipped with a fuel water separator, and sometimes that's the reason why this happens. The reason why these trucks don't come with fuel water separators, because some uh, uh, buyers of these vehicles, they don't want to spend a lot of money and they select their options in different ways. But I mean, to me, it's just as important as any other filter, especially if you are in a very open environment. Then you can you are exposed to elements all the time. So there is there is I don't know what other question, but as it is, this is a so far we have all the questions. I can just talk about different things, but if there is another question you want me to answer to you, I will. The situation uh, with all things and everything is a very basic things. As we were talking about all this right now, but the oil pressure and everything else is completely separate with trucks. So, but the oil type has a lot to do with the oil pressures. And if you don't maintain your oil pretty well, your oil pressure is going to drop and you're going to have problems. Um, there is one thing I would say that a lot of people sometimes they prolong on their service schedules to the trucks, and sometimes it's because they don't have the budget, and sometimes it's because they don't, they cannot, like, they don't have the money at all. They're broke. So, but don't let it slide for too long. It's okay if you don't have the money for an oil change or something. I think there is nothing wrong with that. But what is wrong is then if you don't do it at all. So I think whenever you don't have the budget to do something, you can just postpone it for 1 week to another week. As I was talking to different customers today, um, there is one customer specifically that needs to replace the DPF filters, and he doesn't have the money because these DPF filters are expensive, around $4,000 the pair in this case. Um, for these DD13, DD15 engines. So they will be very expensive, to be honest. Um, so I would say then if you don't have the money, as I was talking to him, it's okay. I mean, like that's not a problem. But just uh, keep in mind, and if you don't have the money for these, it might be then later you might have to invest a little more money in other things if you let it slide for too long, because other components are going to go bad, and that's going to cost more money later. So yeah, it's okay, don't repair it right away if you don't have the money, but repair it as soon as you can, because that is going to affect other components, and then you're going to have so many different repairs to do, and then you won't be able to afford all of them. So just consider that as some kind of timer that you can put on your phone or something when it's going to be scheduled the replacement of these components. And that way you can prevent other problems that might be happening if you don't repair the problem on time. So, digamos, Dian Morality, the 2022 Peterbilt with X15, then has an APU and has 12% idle time. Do I consider that? That sounds good, to be honest. Um, Depending on the mileage too, because of course all depending on what was the application of this truck, if it was a city truck or it was a long holder, right? That's how this is going to change how well or how good this sounds like. Um, the idle time is pretty good, which means then the APU has been used for a long time. And the 2022's Peterbilt, they're okay. They're depending on the body style, because there is that specific year has the split of the older body style and the newer a newer body style. So the 2022 with the older style, with the, not sure what name of that chassis is, but if you have the older 579, let's say, if that is, I think it's going to be a little more uh, reliable at some point because it is more popular and cheaper too. And the newer one is nicer. It looks pretty good. It has more technology, and there's so many features on those 579s that are really nice, but they're going to be more expensive. So depending on which one you get too, but it depends up to you what you like. And also if you have automatic transmission or manual transmission. If you have manual transmission, it's always going to be the best option. But if you are not able to drive a manual transmission or you cannot find a manual transmission, of course, automatic transmission is fine. Those have the Eaton Endurance transmission, and it is the Eaton Endurance transmission is paired. It's like a setup Cummins engine with Eaton Endurance. So there is no way to change that. Even with Freightliner, you cannot get a Cummins engine with a DT12. You cannot get those. So it has to be a Cummins engine with a Eaton transmission. So, but it sounds good. Yeah, and when you're buying a used truck, there is many things you can inspect. There's many things you can consider when you are thinking on buying these trucks. But of course, there is uh, there is no guarantee that everything the paper says is true, right? So the truck with 412,000 miles use oh the road, that's pretty good to be honest. 412, that's that's okay because I have seen some trucks that have that many miles in 2 years, in 2 years or 1 year and a half. That is crazy. But that one seems to be okay. Um, Usually long haulers are a little more uh, well maintained than city trucks because I don't know. I mean, the local trucks, for some reason, I have no idea why many local trucks and the owners of these trucks they don't want to do any type of repairs to these trucks. No repairs at all. I have no idea why. And it's not just one person I know that does that. There is couple. Then I mean, these trucks are completely destroyed, and they are not going to do any type of repairs. Of course, then there is. I think one of the main reasons is they don't go to scales that often because they maintain a circle in the area, so they don't have to go to scales here and there, and also they don't go too far, so they don't want to repair because I have there have been some local trucks with so many problems, with big problems, and the owner of these trucks don't want to invest $5,000, $4,000 on these trucks because they're local. So, and I think that's the benefit of when you buy a long hauler. Then usually these trucks are repaired because if the truck breaks on the road, it's going to be more expensive. Sorry, and owners, companies don't want to go through this. So that's the reason why they're going to repair. Versus the local, I mean, it's going to be like 10, 50 miles away from the city of destination. So it's not gonna be a big deal if it breaks, right? So still it's gonna be a big deal, but not like going 2,000 miles away, right? So I consider that is the best option when buying a trucks, right? At least to have a peace of mind, then you have a truck that's well maintained. Um, and it doesn't matter the manufacturer, the model, the year of truck you buy. I mean, pretty much they all maintain the same way. Um, Sometimes trucks are um, pretty good, as they call it, right? When a truck doesn't give you any type of problem, but it is bad for whoever buys it because if you buy a truck then didn't give any type of problems to the owner, the previous owner, that is bad because you as the new owner you are going to pay all the repairs that this previous owner didn't do. And that's going to be very costly to you. So, but if you get a truck for cheap, right? If you get a good price, I think is something to consider, right? You get a $20,000 truck, a 2022, right? And it looks kind of beat up by needs repairs. I think that's good because that truck is going to be selling anyway from 65 to 80 depending on the mileage, right? So, but if you buy this truck already expensive, 65, 70, and it is a bunch of repairs, there's no reason to repair it, to buy it. It's better just to walk away and look for a different offer, even though then you might like the truck for many different reasons, or simply because that's the type of truck that you want. Um, but I'm just thinking then right now in this market, buying used trucks is pretty tough because trucks they are a little cheaper than what they were after COVID, but still uh, uh, the lots and the market isn't that well. So you have to be careful what type of truck you buy. If you're buying a cheap truck, if you already have somewhere to work and everything, because everything is important, not because you need to be prepared. It is just because how long you can get away with that. I mean, so I think buying a used truck right now is a very important decision that you need to make, and and once you have the concrete decision, then you already uh, had. I mean, you can just uh, go for it. But if you are not sure about it, just don't buy the truck right now because wait until all the situation gets a little better, and then you can probably get a little better deal, or maybe buy a expensive truck because the market probably is going to be more expensive, but have more security on your investment. And sometimes that is very important, and or might be, and that's the most important thing when you are investing money. Um, well, I mean that's about when it comes to used trucks. And there's so many things to check with your trucks. DOT inspection is going to be one of the things, and that's one of the reasons why whenever you buy a used truck, it has to be a DOT compliance, right? So everything DOT has to be functional when you buy a used truck, especially from a dealer. If you buy it from um, a person, a regular person, who cares? That's the way you gotta be. So you buy the truck as is. But if you buy the truck from a dealer, this truck gotta be on compliance with the DOT, which means no leaks, brakes in good conditions, chambers in good conditions, hoses in good condition, and everything else, everything chassis at least, gotta be in good condition. But the problem is that it's up to you, the buyer of the truck, to find out if this is in a good condition. Because if you don't and you sign the contract, these people, as soon as you sign the contract, they already washing their hands and saying, "Hey, we are not responsible of if something happens to this truck because you decided to buy the truck as is." And then you're gonna be on your own, spending on repairs and when necessary, I would say. That's why it's very important when you do truck inspections when you buy used trucks. It is not just to hook a computer. Um, you can hook the computer, and yes, maybe then the engine and everything else is working, but the other rest of the components you may encounter problems and are very expensive to repair still, and uh, and then you are going to be stuck with a truck and it's not worth the money and you already invested on it. Um, it also it depends on what type of truck, right? The engine, the transmission, as I was saying, equipment and everything. So just uh, you guys be careful when you buy used trucks nowadays in this market. Um, uh, Sometimes going buying trucks directly from the dealer sometimes the best option instead of buying them from the streets, and sometimes buying them from the actual uh, authorized dealer, Freilander, Peterbilt, Kangor. Sometimes a little better because you can also discuss terms a little more aggressive because the other dealers, small dealers, don't want to discuss small terms because they are losing money already. So they are not going to do any type of repairs because it's pretty expensive to do repairs as well. But it depends on the contract or everything you signed. Um, if you wanna be mechanic on your own, right? If you a lot of people want to be, I know different guys then come here to do repairs, and these people are their own mechanics. They do their own repairs. Um, and sometimes they don't do things right, but sometimes they do it right. So I think that is one of the ways how you can make money, right? Doing your own repairs. Of course, there are things that you cannot do, even though then you might have the room or you have the equipment, but you might not have the skills to do it. So if that's the case, don't do it if you don't have that, because it's going to be a little more costly if something goes wrong um, after a repair. Um, well, I don't know. I think we don't have any more questions, which is okay. We answer different questions here and there. Um, and I will be finishing the video if that is the case. If there is no more questions, um, we will be finishing the video soon. Um, and there are different things that are changing on on the trucking industry and so many things. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of all the changes that are happening, emissions, truck laws, and everything. That is going to affect a lot the commerce of this industry. But of course, it is what it is. We have to maintain um, the the flow because we have to feed our families. Um, well, I will always be posting more videos, new videos about this truck. Sometimes I don't have the time to videos, uh, walk through the videos and everything. I'm very busy always all the time. I'm trying to do my best to keep up with that. But there is always something to do. There is always something that comes out and something that we need to do. So, but I'm trying to give you the best information possible, so that way you guys can understand and maintain yourself informed with those all these drugs that are complicated nowadays, and they are not getting any better to understand. They're getting more complicated. So, because manufacturers are just tired to have many mechanics all over the place, they want owner operators and companies to send the trucks directly to the manufacturer. That's the reason why these systems are getting so complicated nowadays, and some of these are so aggressive, stupid, I would say. Then someone with the basic skills cannot repair these trucks. But it is what it is, right? The future is not nice; it is hard, and that's the future then we have to face within 10 years at least from now. All right, so this is all I have for this video. I hope you guys liked it, and planning to do more videos like this. I mean, I was like to do live video every month, so I can get in touch with you guys everywhere you are, and get some informations. If I, as I say, I mean, if I have the answer for the question that you have, I will give it to you immediately. If not, I will research, and if not, I will continue researching until I find it. So this is all I have, and I hope that you like it. And well, I will see you in the next live video, which is going to be the month of June, and we'll see what kind of topics we can select for that, or what kind of video I can make, so that way you guys can be informed in all this, uh, whatever technology or something that I might think is important for you guys to know. I might do next live video about it. So thank you for watching, and I see you next video. So have a good weekend.